Hi, my name is Michael, and in this video I'm going to show you the exact method I use to launch multiple Amazon bestsellers. It's not about the latest product research tactic, it's simply about developing amazing products. So if you are building a brand, targeting specific customer avatar, this video is for you. This approach is based on the scientific method, and in simple terms, this is what the scientific method looks like. We have some initial observations, we have our hypothesis, experiment, data collection and analysis, and then the conclusion. So in terms of product development, it looks like this. The initial observation is essentially the product research, gathering the data, looking at the competition, keyword research, and all of that good stuff. Then we have the hypothesis. What is the competitive advantage we think we will have if we launch this product? Then we have the experiment, which is essentially launching the product so we can gather the data, which is looking at the launch results. And then, of course, the conclusion, whether the product was a success or a failure. And I believe that the first problem is that most people underestimate the hypothesis. They don't really specify what their competitive advantage is, why they think their product will be a success, right? You need to ask yourself, why do I expect this product to succeed? And that is your hypothesis. So to construct the hypothesis, we have to look at all the relevant variables. And this is obviously specific to your niche, so I will try to specify this as much as possible, but obviously I do not know your niche, so I will talk in general terms. So if we have a product, there is the observation. That's the first step. We talked about looking at the competition, looking at the search volume, and so on. And then we have the variables. And that is constructing our hypothesis. We can look at the branding, positioning, how we structure the listing, what is our pricing strategy, all the way to the features of the product, the design, shape, quality, sizing, quantity, bundling, and so on. All of these variables. As I said, this will be specific to your niche, so you know better what the variables in that particular niche are. So as an example, we can have a hypothesis like this. Our observation is from reviews and from our research that people actually are buying this product as a gift. So it is a highly giftable product. Yet, let's say none of the competitors are offering premium packaging. So our hypothesis is that if we position the product as premium, and we will have a premium gift box that will allow us to have expensive pricing, also premium pricing. So this is our hypothesis, that the product, this will work because we have premium positioning with gift box and will be a little bit more expensive. So we assume that people will like this product because they are buying it as a gift, right? And if we leave some of these empty, let's say the design and shape, that means that's pretty much the same as the competition, right? Because these three will be the differentiating factors. We will position the listing as premium, we will set expensive pricing, premium pricing, and then we will have a gift box, which we can showcase on the listing, right? And the rest, the sizing, the quantity, is the same as the competition or very, very similar. So it's not a differentiating factor. Example number 2. It can be really as simple as that. Our observation is that none of the competitors are offering color variations. Let's say everyone is selling black or white, and you decide that your competitive advantage will be to launch a green color. So your hypothesis is that a green color will succeed on this marketplace because it will stand out because no one else is selling this color. Or example number 3, and with this product, our differentiating factor should be the positioning, right? So we think, okay, we may position the product for women or for men. So for women, we would make the listing all about benefits. For men, let's say more about features. And we would change the sizing. One would be a little bit smaller, the other one would be a little bit bigger, right? So that is our hypothesis, what we think that may work, what would be our competitive advantage. Now, the next step, as I said, is the experiment. We launch the product and we start gathering the data. And once again, people tend to underestimate this step, right? If you launch a product, you see the results, you see the sales, you see the profit, And that's it. Most people make actually the decision just based on that data, right? You launch a product, it's not selling well, so it's a failure, and let's move on. Or you launch it and it's doing well, perfect, let's move on. But it's important to always gather the data and really gather and analyze everything you can. Sales, reviews, refunds, PPC performance, PPC to organic sales ratio, conversion rates, PPC conversion rates, price elasticity, really trying to understand everything about the product. So you gather the data, and this will be extremely important for the next step, because the next step is the conclusion. And the question is, what do you do if your product fails? And what do you do if your product becomes a bestseller? And the answer is the exact same thing in terms of this scientific method. We gather feedback, and it's all about the insights we get. Because it doesn't matter whether the product fails or if it is a success, we do the same thing. We gather the data and we get feedback to adapt our hypothesis, the one we came up with before, right? So the process is exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether the product failed or was a success. So if it's a bestseller, perfect. But the first thing we do if we launch a bestseller is to try to understand why it is successful. And if it fails, we try to understand why it failed, so we can improve our hypothesis. And that's what we call iteration cycles. Gathering the data and analyzing the data to get the insights to adapt our hypothesis and construct a new one, a better one. So the iteration cycle, in a nutshell, is really asking what works and what doesn't. And we figure it out based on the data we gathered after we launched the product. We are gathering the data from the experiment. So what could we improve? And what are our options, right? Once again, we are looking at all of the variables. And based on your experience, which idea do you think will make the biggest impact? And I will show you a few examples a little bit later. Then we decide which change to make, and then we make the change, which is essentially constructing a new hypothesis. I want to stress this out. It does not mean that we have to launch the same product with a minor change. The thing is that we are trying to understand our whole niche. We are trying to understand the customer avatar, not the single product, right? So let's say these are the results after we launched these products. The first one, the premium branding and the gift box, was a huge success. The conversion rate was high, we ranked for the keywords we wanted to rank for, but we realized that expensive pricing is not viable because there is high price elasticity of demand, so if we increase prices, sales go down significantly. So our hypothesis for the premium branding was correct, for the gift box also was correct, but for the pricing, we can say it is false. So we are getting insights to understand the target customer. We are getting insights to understand the niche. Not this particular product, but the niche in general. That's the key, because we will be launching more products for this particular customer avatar. And let's say that the green color variation failed completely. Even though it was a differentiating factor, people from this niche simply do not want these colors. They prefer the black ones, the white ones, right? So they don't really want this green color. So once again, this hypothesis could be false. And the next product positioning for women worked very well, but let's say the one for men did not. Right? So once again, we are getting more and more insights. What is our niche all about? And I believe that the most important part of this is that the false hypothesis is part of the process. So as you can see, the success and the failure in this case are exactly the same. We are looking at our hypothesis. Sometimes we say this was a good one, so we will keep it, but this was a bad one, so we will scratch it. But that's pretty much it. That's the whole process, right? So the thing is that there is no failure. You fail only if you don't get the insights to improve your hypothesis. So if you don't gather the data, if you don't have the insights to adapt your hypothesis for the next product launch. So that's the only fail. If you launch a product and it's a bestseller, but you don't know why, you failed. Because you simply did not identify what turned that into a bestseller. And the same goes in the failed product. If it fails, but you identify why, that's a success. So that's all in your control. Because the objective here is to increase your chances to score, to increase your chances that your next product will be a success. That is all this is about. So increasing our chances to score means that our hypothesis is as accurate as possible. Eventually, this could become a manual to dominate your niche. Because imagine if you launch 20, 30, 40 products, you will have a lot of insights what they like and what they don't like. And this is exactly what we did. So if you spend years gathering insights and perfecting your hypothesis, you will have something that will increase your chances that your next product launch will be good because you understand what they like, what they don't like, what are their preferences, what can be your pricing strategies, and so on. So I will give you an example. And this is a real example based on one of our products. We launched a product and the product was selling like 3-4 units per day, very low revenue, which is below our threshold. So we wanted to drop this product. But if we take a closer look at the metrics, the conversion rate was over 30%. That's pretty good. The PPC performance, the ACOS was slow, PPC performance, great. It was ranked in top 5 for the main keyword. Also pretty good. 30% margin. That's great. And 5-star reviews. So what's wrong, right? Like everything looks well, but we are just not selling enough units. So what were the insights? The hypothesis was true, but the initial observation was not. Because the search volume for that keyword we wanted to rank for was simply too low. So we were at the top, but the search volume was too low. So even though the conversion rate was good, we were not really selling that many units. So we had to adapt the observation process, the threshold for the search volume, right? We had to increase the threshold, the minimum threshold for the search volume we would accept to launch a product. And then this is what happened. We used the exact same hypothesis to launch a different product, right? So all of these were the same. The branding was the same, the positioning, the listing style was the same, the pricing strategy. Obviously, it was a different product because we were targeting a different keyword, but all of these were the same. The sizing, the quantity, the bundling, everything else was the same because we already had the insights from all of these other products we launched before. We knew what worked, what didn't. So we took everything was the same. Just the observation changed, so we launched for a different keyword. And this is what happened. We launched a product, and as you can see, we have sessions and conversion rate. So we launched the product, and after a week, after 2 weeks, we ranked the product, and we were getting conversion rates around 60%. And if you are selling on Amazon, you know that this is pretty good. So even though we had like 80, 90 sessions, which is not as much, but with 60% conversion rate, that's a lot, right? So a week after launch, we started selling like 30, 40 units per day. Then we increased the prices a little bit, so the conversion rate dropped to like 40, 45%, but still pretty good. And this product is a bestseller to this day because the insights and the hypothesis was true. We just had to change the observation. And we launched this product after like 30 products or so. So we had the insights and we knew what worked because the target customer was the same. But the thing is that we won't get all the insights just from the product performance. The data collection and analysis is extremely important, but we won't get all the insights just from that. And I believe that this is even more important. We have to take a broader look. We will implement feedback loops. So where else can we get feedback? Where else can we get these insights to understand our target customer? Obviously, there is customer feedback across our whole brand. Then we have the trends, competition, and suppliers. So the full method, the full model of this method looks like this. On the left side, we have the exact same structure: observation, hypothesis, experiment, and so on. Then we have our iteration cycles, where we take the data and the feedback to have some conclusions, what works, what doesn't, and adapting our hypothesis. But now we are implementing the feedback loops to make our iteration cycles better, because we don't have to learn just from the performance of our product. We can learn from pretty much everything, from the trends, from competition, from our suppliers, and also from our customer feedback across the whole brand. what it actually means, right? The customer feedback, we have messages, reviews, returns, but most importantly, we have defect list. So our customer service agent should be gathering all of the defects and putting that into a list. And then we take a look, what are the most frequent, most recurring defects, so we can then fix these, right? So we are getting these insights about the quality of the product. Very important. Then we have the trends, what's happening on Google Trends, what's happening with search volumes on Amazon, because it's constantly evolving, right? So we need to monitor, let's say every month, you will take a look, what are the trends? Google Trends, Amazon search volumes, new keywords, and so on. Then we have the competition. That's on Amazon, but also off Amazon, because there are likely websites that are selling similar products to yours. They are not on Amazon, and you need to understand why they are successful, right? It doesn't matter that they are not on Amazon. You are trying to understand what your target customer likes. So we look at the listings, so we know more about the branding, about the positioning, once again, so we can construct a better hypothesis. And also we look at the products. We buy their products. Every time someone launches something new, we bought the product. So we can inspect it and see whether it's better than ours. And if so, then we contact our suppliers and try to figure out how to make our product better. And then, of course, our suppliers. We always ask our suppliers and also other suppliers, what are the popular products? What are the popular features? What are the popular packaging styles, right? Because your supplier has a lot of information, right? And you can also contact other suppliers that you are not working with. So we had a list of like 10 suppliers in our niche, and we were still chatting with them, trying to understand what is popular and so on. And the key here is to get new samples, because most people get the sample when they decide to launch a new product. They get a sample, right? They test the product, they choose the best one, and that's it. But what about 6 months after that, a year after that? You are still getting samples trying to find the best suppliers that could provide the best possible product. And if you have a team, they need to understand the importance of these feedback loops. The customer feedback is for your customer service agent because they are the ones hands on the process. So you need to explain how important this is so they can report it back to you or anyone who's in charge of product development. And then we have the trends for brand manager, competition, once again, brand manager, and suppliers, your supply manager. And here are some real examples. For obvious reasons, I cannot say the exact insights from our niche, but I can share these ones. So for example, we found a different niche. We were not selling in this niche, but this niche was for the same customer avatar. And we noticed that there is an unusual color variation that is becoming extremely popular in this niche. As I said, not our niche, but they were targeting the same customer. So we decided to launch this color variation in our niche. No one was doing that at that time, and it became extremely popular as well. Because we figured out that if these people like this type of color on this product, they should like it on this product as well. That was the hypothesis, and it was true. It became a bestseller, and obviously everyone else after 3-4 months started copying us. But that was the insight, constructing the hypothesis. Another one, based on reviews. A lot of people were mentioning that they are buying this product as a gift. Most sellers were competing on price, so they did not want to invest in better packaging, right? Because that would decrease their margin. But we knew that these people want to give this product as a gift, so we invested in fancy packaging and we set a higher price, significantly higher than anyone else. But we were the only ones offering this, so we still had good ROI on the investment into the packaging. We also noticed that there was a low price elasticity of demand with one of our brands. So if we increased price, it likely increased the perceived value. So the price did not have that much effect on conversion rate, therefore it did not have much effect on sales. And that was the insight that was true across the niche. And we had another smaller brand where this was not true. Increasing price just by $1 in this other niche, in this other brand, dropped the sales dramatically. So we knew that this hypothesis was true in one niche, but it was not in the other one. Also analyzing the trends, looking at the keyword search volume on Amazon, right? Monitoring what's popular, what's going up, what's going down, because it's constantly evolving. And our brand manager noticed that more and more people are searching for different quantities. Let's say they, instead of set of 18 units, they wanted a set of 16 units. And we noticed that more and more people actually searched for this, but none of the competitors really offered this. So once again, we launched the variation that offered this quantity that people started searching for. I don't know why. That's the thing. Like, I don't know why, but I noticed this trend, so we just went for it. And that was our new hypothesis. People are searching for this quantity, so let's launch the product. And it worked well. And then we had a recurring defect with one of our products, and we bought competitors' products and did some testing, and their product performed better. So we reached out to our supplier, and they were unable to fix this issue. They were unable to replicate the solution our competitors came up with. So we simply had to contact new suppliers, and we changed the supplier. As you can imagine, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it, right? If your supplier is unable to keep up, you simply have to find a new supplier. And there are many, many examples. As I said, we had dozens of these insights. So every time I developed a new product, I looked at these and I was able to increase our chances that the product will be a bestseller. As I said, the market is always evolving. It's a never-ending process, right? What was true 2 years ago may not be true today. But the key here is that you will try to be one step ahead. And also, I would like to say, don't get discouraged. Because as I said, there is really no failure if you launch a product and it doesn't work. The only failure is that if you are unable to identify why it failed. If you do, the next time you will do a little bit better. Your chances to success will be a little bit higher. So just go with the process and repeat it as many times as necessary. And implement the feedback loops so you increase your chances without having to launch dozens and dozens of products to get all of the insights. Be smart, get the insights from the marketplace, from competition, from your suppliers, so your hypothesis gets better and better. Well, and that's pretty much it. So see you next week. Good luck.